Night had fallen over Earth, but the great orbital museum station still shined like a giant ring of light above the planet. Tourists, school students, and history lovers visited it every day. They came to look at humanity's old war relics, massive starships from the First Galactic War, now silent, cold, and retired. People loved taking pictures with these ships. Some even laughed at how old-fashioned they looked. Rusted metal, giant engines, and bulky armor. They were nothing like modern sleek ships. Humanity believed they would never need them again. But Captain Elias Rourke knew better. He stood alone inside the Dark Hall of Legends, looking at the largest ship in the museum, the Titan's Wrath. Its black hull still carried the marks of old battles. Burn marks, cracked armor, deep scars. Rourke placed a hand on its surface and whispered, "The galaxy forgets too fast." Far away, a soft hum echoed inside the hall. Rourke turned sharply. For a moment, he felt something, an energy pulse like the ship was breathing. He frowned. "Impossible," he muttered. "These ships have been dead for 80 years. Earlier that morning, a group of alien diplomats from the Valor Dominion had visited the museum. They walked around with arrogant smiles, their golden armor shining under the museum lights. Their leader, Commander Silor, stared at the old human ships with amusement. "These are your famous war vessels?" he said, laughing loudly. "They belong in a scrapyard." People around felt insulted, but no one spoke. Humans in Valor Dominion were supposed to be allies, or at least that's what Earth believed. Silor tapped one of the ships with his clawed finger. "Your history is weak. Your weapons are weak. Your courage is weak." Rourke had stepped forward then, his voice calm but firm. "Respect our history. These ships protected humanity when no one else did." Silor's smile vanished for a second. His eyes became cold. "We will remember your words, Captain," he hissed. Rourke noticed the look. It wasn't simple disrespect. It was hunger, a silent threat. Now at night, Rourke sat in the control room of the museum. His instincts shouted that something was wrong. He stared at the scanners, watching the space near the moon. At first, everything seemed normal. Then a dot appeared. One small, then two, then five. He zoomed in. "Unidentified ships," he whispered. The shapes were not human. They had sharp, aggressive designs. They moved in perfect formation. Too perfect. Military formation. His heart tightened. This can't be a coincidence. He rushed to the communication panel and contacted the Earth Defense Council. After a long delay, a board officer finally answered. "What is it, Captain Rourke?" Rourke spoke fast. "We have unknown ships entering the moon's shadow. Their signatures match Valor Dominion war patterns. I believe an attack is coming." The officer laughed softly. "Captain, the Dominion is our ally. Maybe they're on a peaceful patrol." "No," Rourke snapped. "I saw their commander today. Something is wrong. They insulted our ships, our history, for a reason. They were examining us, studying us." "Still," the officer replied, "this is a museum. You worry too much." "I am telling you," Rourke insisted. "We are in danger. Prepare defenses. We will look into it." The officer said lazily. Then the call ended. Rourke stared at the silent screen. He knew that tone. They were not going to do anything. They thought he was an old man living in the past, still dreaming of battles. But he wasn't wrong. Suddenly, the entire museum shook. Lights flickered. A deep alarm blared. Incoming signal detected. Rourke slammed the console open. A transmission played across every screen. The face of Commander Silor appeared, twisted with triumph. "Humans," he said slowly, "your history ends tonight." Rourke felt a chill. So it was true. The visit earlier was not diplomacy. It was scouting. Silor continued. "Our main fleet enters your system now. Surrender your world. Your modern defenses mean nothing. And your museum toys," he smirked, "are jokes." The signal cut. The alarms grew louder. Rourke looked at the old ships behind the glass walls. Dust-covered, silent, abandoned. Humanity had forgotten them. But he hadn't. He sprinted through the hall, past old cannons and statues, until he reached a hidden metal door at the back. Most people didn't know this door existed. It led to the secret maintenance core, the heart of the museum, built decades ago by engineers who never trusted peace. He pressed his hand on the scanner. Access granted. The door slid open. Inside was a dark chamber filled with old control panels, blinking weakly. Rourke walked to the largest console and pulled a lever covered in dust. At first, nothing happened. Then, a deep hum shook the floor. Lights flickered across the entire museum. The old ships, every single one, lit up with blue energy lines. Engines that had been silent for 80 years roared like ancient beasts waking from sleep. Rourke whispered, his voice trembling not with fear, but with pride. They mocked us, but they forgot something. He placed his hand on the main activation switch. Humans do not forget how to fight. He pushed the switch down. The museum ships began to power up, and for the first time in 80 years, the relics opened their eyes. The hum inside the museum grew louder, shaking dust from the ceilings. Lights danced across the hulls of the old warships. For decades, humanity had thought these relics were nothing more than history. But now, they were alive again. Captain Elias Rourke stood in awe. The Titan's Wrath, the largest ship in the collection, had its energy cores glowing bright blue. Every cannon, shield generator, and rail gun system came online with a hiss and a low roar. The ship's ancient hull vibrated under his hands, as if it recognized him. "By the stars, they're ready," whispered Rourke. He knew these ships had been secretly upgraded decades ago. Hidden inside their rusted exteriors were experimental energy weapons, stealth systems, and advanced AI. Engineers called it Project Legacy. The world never knew. And now, the secret was humanity's only chance. Outside the museum, Earth's orbit was calm, but scanners picked up movement. The Valor Dominion fleet, arrogant and confident, had advanced closer to the planet. Thousands of ships in perfect formation, their massive engines glowing red, cutting through the darkness like knives. Rourke tapped the console. "Initiate full fleet wake-up. Bring all ships to battle readiness." Mechanical arms and drones moved across the museum decks, unlocking hatches, activating thrusters, and powering weapons. For the first time in decades, the museum ships were no longer exhibits. They were war machines. On the bridge of the Titan's Wrath, Rourke's crew moved with practiced precision. Young cadets stared wide-eyed at the activated relics around them, while veterans whispered prayers of awe. "Captain," said Lieutenant Mira, pointing to the scanners, "the alien fleet is within range. They're scanning us now. They know something is wrong. They'll find out soon enough," Rourke replied grimly. "Let them laugh. Let them think these are just toys. We'll give them a surprise they'll never forget." In the distance, a communication signal flashed from the Valor Dominion command ship. Commander Silore's face appeared on the screens again. His eyes burned with arrogance. "You dare power up your museum ships?" he sneered. "Pathetic humans. Your relics are nothing. Surrender now, or face complete annihilation." Rourke's hand rested on the control panel. "We don't surrender. Not now. Not ever." Silore's laughter echoed through the bridge. "Then you will die, Captain, and your world will fall with you." The signal cut, leaving an eerie silence. Rourke took a deep breath. "All units, prepare for immediate jump to defensive positions around Earth. Engage all systems. Keep formation tight, and do not underestimate them." Outside, the museum ships started to move. Their engines flared with ancient power, burning blue and white streaks into the void. Aliens watched Mouse Agape as the slow, bulky ships advanced, but each step revealed something terrifying. The relics were not slow at all. Their movements were precise, calculated, and deadly. The Iron Lion, a smaller but heavily armored cruiser, fired a test shot. A rail cannon projectile, glowing with immense energy, struck an empty asteroid miles away. The explosion sent fragments spinning in every direction. "Commander," a young cadet whispered, Did it just destroy that asteroid?" "With one shot." "Yes," Rourke said, "and that is just the beginning." In a dark control room deep inside the museum, engineers watched readings spike across every panel. "The energy output is unprecedented," one said. "These ships are far more powerful than the records show." They were waiting for this moment. Waiting for what? Another asked. For war, Rourke answered. His eyes never left the screens. And now war is here. The first alien scouts moved closer, scanning the museum ships. They still underestimated humanity. They laughed over their intercoms, mocking the slow movements and the ancient designs. But the relics had one advantage the aliens did not expect: human creativity. These ships were designed by humans who had fought countless battles, who understood strategy and chaos better than any machine. Engage the first wave of scouts, Rourke ordered. Do not hold back. Cannons fired. Energy beams cut through space, hitting alien fighters with impossible precision. Some ships exploded mid-flight. Others spun out of control, unable to understand how a museum relic could hit them from angles they thought safe. The Valor Dominion command ship pulsed with fury. Impossible, Sylor growled. These humans, how? Rourke smiled grimly. They forgot one thing, he said to himself. Humans never truly die. Our history fights with us. Meanwhile, civilians on Earth looked up at the night sky. People had expected an easy victory for the aliens. After all, the museum ships looked like toys. But suddenly, streaks of blue fire and energy cut across the heavens. Shadows of massive ships glowed, moving in perfect patterns, forming a shield around the planet. A child whispered, pointing out the window, "Mom, the old ships, they're fighting." And for the first time in decades, the people of Earth realized their forgotten history, their so-called relics, were alive. They were ready. The hum of power reached a deafening pitch. Rourke took his seat on the bridge of the Titan's Wrath, gripping the controls tightly. "Prepare for battle," he said to the crew. "We are about to show the galaxy what humans are capable of." Above them, the old museum ships glowed like giants of the past, awakened and ready to strike. And in the distance, the alien fleet approached, laughing one last time, before the universe reminded them that humans are never to be underestimated. Space outside Earth burned with the light of approaching alien ships. Thousands of Valor Dominion fighters, sleek and menacing, spread across the void. Their engines glowed red, slicing through the darkness like fiery knives. They had never feared humans. Until now. Captain Elias Rourke stood on the bridge of the Titan's Wrath, his eyes fixed on the scanners. The museum ships formed a defensive line, old hulls gleaming under the light of Earth. To the untrained eye, they were rusty relics. But inside, the energy cores hummed with ancient power, shields shimmered, and weapons bristled with deadly intent. Sensors show alien ships moving into attack formation, Lieutenant Mirror reported. "They're scanning us and laughing at our fleet." Rourke didn't answer. He didn't need to. He had seen their arrogance before. It always came before their defeat. The first alien fighters struck. They darted forward like predatory birds, firing laser cannons meant to pierce armor. The museum ships waited. "Hold your fire," Rourke commanded. "Let them come closer." The aliens laughed over their comm channels. "Pathetic humans. Your relics will fall before our light cannons." Then, in perfect unison, the human fleet struck. The Iron Lion fired its first rail cannon shot. The projectile, glowing with blue-white energy, ripped through the lead alien fighter. It exploded in a burst of sparks and metal, sending debris spinning in all directions. The other alien ships faltered. They had not expected such raw power from a ship they considered obsolete. "Target the second wave," Rourke shouted. The museum fleet moved in coordinated chaos. Engineers had installed advanced AI guidance inside these old ships, but the human crews controlled them manually. It was a strange mix of old tactics and new technology, completely unpredictable. On the alien side, Commander Sylor stared at the view screen, disbelief spreading across his face. How is this possible?" he growled. "These humans, their ships, they move with precision, but it's like nothing we've seen before." His sub-commanders panicked. Their formations, designed for overwhelming speed and firepower, were collapsing under the relentless, unpredictable attacks of ships they had mocked as toys. Rourke's fleet advanced. The Titan's Wrath led the charge, moving straight toward the alien front line. Old missiles launched from hidden silos inside the museum ships, striking alien cruisers from blind angles. Shielded energy beams tore through the enemy fighters with surgical precision. In the midst of the chaos, Rourke noticed a cluster of smaller alien fighters trying to flank them. "Divert the Hawk Squadron to intercept," he ordered. A squadron of old but fast museum fighters darted forward. They twisted, rolled, and spun around the alien ships with impossible agility, taking advantage of maneuver patterns the aliens had never expected. The aliens' communications were filled with panic. They fight like demons. Back on Earth, civilians watched the sky in awe. Bright streaks of blue fire flashed across the heavens as the old ships battled. Children clung to their parents, eyes wide with fear and excitement. Nobody had ever imagined their ancestors' weapons would fight again. In orbit, a smaller alien cruiser fired a massive energy beam at the Titan's Wrath. The beam struck the hull with a deafening roar. Sparks flew, alarms blared, but the old ship held. Its ancient armor, reinforced decades ago, absorbed the attack. Rourke gritted his teeth. They think our history is weak, but they've never faced humans defending their home. He glanced at the bridge crew. Young cadets, their hands shaking, now moved with focus and determination. Veterans shouted orders, firing manual turrets and adjusting shields. Every ship in the museum fleet became a deadly weapon, fueled by courage, skill, and centuries of hidden knowledge. Then came the first surprise. A massive alien command ship, hidden in the back of the fleet, fired a concentrated plasma cannon. The blast was enormous, bigger than anything the museum ships had ever faced. It cut a path straight toward Earth, threatening destruction. Rourke's eyes narrowed. Divert all firepower to intercept. We cannot let it reach Earth. The fleet moved in perfect coordination. The Titan's Wrath and its companion ships created a shield wall of energy beams and debris, slowing the plasma wave. The smaller museum ships, moving unpredictably, launched counter-projectiles that split the beam into fragments. Sparks and explosions lit up space like fireworks of war. Inside the alien command ship, Commander Sylor screamed orders. Focus on the leader. Destroy the Titan's Wrath. But Rourke was ready. Using a mix of old navigation tactics and modern AI calculations, he maneuvered the flagship behind the enemy line, right into the heart of the alien formation. He fired his most powerful rail cannon. The shot traveled slowly at first, almost mockingly, but then struck the alien flagship's hull. The explosion was catastrophic. Systems failed. Shields collapsed. The alien command ship spun out of control, a burning wreck drifting into the void. The alien fighters faltered, their confidence shattered. Humans, once mocked as weak, were proving deadly beyond imagination. Rourke stood on the bridge of the Titan's Wrath, looking out at the battlefield. His voice was calm but full of authority. Remember this crew. They laughed at us. They thought our history was nothing. Now, we show them that humanity's past is our future and our weapon. Outside, the stars burn with fire, smoke, and energy. The relic ships of humanity, awakened after decades of silence, were ready to fight for Earth. And the Valor Dominion fleet, once so confident, had just learned a terrifying lesson. Humans are never to be underestimated. The battle above Earth raged on, but inside the Titan's Wrath, Captain Elias Rourke felt a chill. Victory in small skirmishes was one thing. Understanding the full scale of the enemy threat was another. The Valor Dominion fleet was not just testing them. They were planning an all-out assault. Rourke tapped his comm panel. "Lieutenant Mira, I want a full status report on every museum ship. How ready are we for sustained combat?" "Sir," Mira replied, her voice tense but steady, "all ships are online. Shields are stable. Weapons are functional. But the aliens' numbers are overwhelming. We need a strategy beyond brute force." Rourke nodded. He closed his eyes for a moment, letting memories flood back. Decades ago, before he was forced into retirement, he had been part of a top-secret project, Project Legacy. It had been humanity's insurance against the galaxy's worst threats. He remembered the scientists' words back then. These ships are more than history. They are humanity's future. Old hulls, but new hearts. They had taken relics from the First Galactic War, ships considered useless. Then, hidden inside, engineers installed advanced quantum cores, stealth generators, and adaptive AI. Every ship could now fight in ways no modern design could predict. The upgrades were invisible, silent, and lethal. The project was kept secret. Even Earth's leaders didn't know the full truth. Only a few trusted officers, like Rourke, knew. Now, decades later, those toys were humanity's only hope. Rourke turned to the crew. "These ships," he said, his voice low but firm, "look old, rusty, forgotten, but inside they're alive. They were waiting for this moment. For the enemy who thinks we are weak." Lieutenant Mira nodded. "Sir, the upgrades, they are real. The energy outputs are off the charts. We could outmaneuver and outgun even the main fleet if we coordinate properly." Rourke smiled grimly. "Exactly. But that's not enough. Valor Dominion doesn't fight like humans. They are precise, calculating. Every move we make, they anticipate. We need unpredictability. Chaos." He turned back to the view screen, watching the alien fleet regroup. Commander Silor's ships were repairing shields mid-flight, adapting to the humans' attacks. But they had no idea about the full potential of the relic ships. Rourke called for a secure comm line. "Engineer hails, connect me to the maintenance core." A moment later, a holographic display showed the old engineers who had once worked on Project Legacy. "Captain," Hales said, his voice trembling slightly, "you're activating systems we thought would never be needed." "We have no choice," Rourke said. "The aliens are not here to negotiate. They are here to conquer. I need full power for every hidden system. Now." "Understood," Hales replied. Panels across the maintenance core lit up. Secret compartments opened inside the museum ships. Hidden energy conduits flowed like veins, powering weapons no one knew existed. Ancient rail cannons, hidden missile bays, even secret stealth fields. Everything was online. Meanwhile, Commander Silor communicated with his fleet. "These humans, they are dangerous. They hide technology even in ancient ships. Adapt, use flanking patterns, destroy them." But the humans had something Silor didn't: experience and intuition. The crews of the relic ships remembered old battle maneuvers, improvisation, and instinct. They could fight in ways no alien AI could predict. Rourke walked along the bridge, observing the young cadets. "History is alive," he said. "Every scar on these ships, every decision we made decades ago, it is all with us now. And it fights." He pressed a hidden panel on the control console. A 3D map of Earth's orbit appeared. Every museum ship was positioned strategically, like pieces on a chessboard. Their old hulls had deadly firepower, ready to strike at the alien fleet. Suddenly, an alarm blared. "Captain, alien strike team approaching. They are targeting orbital defense stations." Rourke's eyes narrowed. "Then we fight them where we can." He looked at the map again. "The relic ships will shield the stations. Prepare countermeasures. Focus fire on the command ships first. We cannot let them coordinate their fleet." Lieutenant Mira hesitated. "Sir, the crews, they are tired. We cannot hold them forever against that many." Rourke's gaze hardened. "Tired? We are never tired when we fight for our home. These ships are old, yes, but they carry humanity's courage. And courage is stronger than any weapon." The Titan's wrath surged forward. Other relic ships followed. The aliens noticed, and panic spread among their ranks. They had expected slow, predictable humans. Instead, they saw coordination, unpredictability, and hidden strength. Rourke's voice echoed across the fleet. "Remember the past. Fight like our history depends on it, because it does." And somewhere deep in the museum core, the hidden AI systems activated. Ancient ships hummed with power, energy lines glowing bright. The secrets of the past were no longer secret. They were humanity's weapon. The sky above Earth burned with the first real battle between history and arrogance. And for the Valor Dominion, one lesson became terrifyingly clear. Humanity's past was alive, and it fought with a fury they had never imagined. The sky above Earth was no longer peaceful. Flames and sparks streaked across the stars as the relic ships engaged a Valor Dominion fleet. The human ships, once dismissed as old museum pieces, moved with uncanny precision. They darted, spun, and twisted in ways the aliens could not predict. Captain Elias Rourke stood on the bridge of the Titan's Wrath, eyes scanning every display. Every movement, every shot, every shield adjustment was calculated, but unpredictable enough to keep the enemy confused. "Sir," Lieutenant Mira shouted, pointing to the scanners. "They're trying to outflank us. Multiple squadrons from the left and right." Rourke gritted his teeth. "Let them come. The relics will meet them. Open all forward rail batteries. Fire when ready." The first wave of alien fighters surged forward, their sleek ships glowing red under the light of distant stars. They laughed through their comm channels, confident in their superiority. But the humans had learned the value of chaos. The Iron Lion, a heavy cruiser, moved in an unexpected zigzag pattern. Its cannons fired powerful energy shells, striking alien ships from blind angles. Fighters were shredded, engines exploded, and the aliens faltered. A young cadet, barely trained, shouted in disbelief. They're hitting every target." "How?" Rourke smiled grimly. "Because humans fight differently. We use instinct, courage, and unpredictability." Suddenly, alien boarding pods launched towards several museum ships. The pods were fast and heavily armed, meant to overwhelm the humans inside. But the relic ships had something the aliens did not expect. Manual overrides and old battle hulls perfect for close combat. Rourke activated the emergency internal defenses. Heavy doors slammed shut, corridors lit up with automated turrets, and the ship's AI guided human troops to key points. Inside the Titan's Wrath, soldiers prepared for hand-to-hand combat. Cadets and veterans alike readied themselves as alien troops breached the outer airlocks. Energy rifles fired, blasters hummed, and the echoes of battle filled the ship. "Remember your training," Rourke shouted. "We may be outnumbered, but we are not outmatched." In the depths of space, the Valor Dominion fleet began to panic. Their algorithms could not account for human improvisation. Ships that were thought to be defenseless suddenly launched devastating attacks. Hidden missile bays, long dormant energy cannons, and experimental stealth systems struck alien cruisers without warning. Sylor's voice boomed across the comm channels, furious. "Stop them. They fight like demons. These humans, they are unnatural." Rourke's response was calm, almost quiet. "We fight like humans. That is enough." Back on the bridge of the Titan's Wrath, Rourke noticed something troubling. The alien command ship hidden at the rear of the fleet was preparing a massive weapon. The readings showed an energy buildup unlike anything in the previous skirmishes. "Lieutenant Mira," he said, "that weapon, it could destroy half the solar system if it fires. We need a plan to neutralize it." Mira's eyes widened. "Sir, we don't have enough firepower to destroy it head-on." Rourke's jaw tightened. "Then we attack smart. Use the relics to distract their main fleet. I'll take a small team to disable that weapon from inside." The humans struck with precision. The relic ships formed a protective ring around the planet, drawing fire away from the Titan's Wrath and its boarding party. Explosions lit the void, engines flared, and lasers tore through enemy lines. Humans fought with determination, courage, and raw ingenuity. Cadet Jaren, barely 16, piloted a relic fighter with skill beyond his years. He weaved through enemy fire, striking alien ships at critical points. I can't believe this is working," he shouted. "Keep it up." Rourke's voice crackled through comms. "History fights with us." Inside the alien command ship, Rourke and a small boarding team maneuvered through dark corridors. They fought alien soldiers with energy rifles, hacking consoles and planting EMP charges wherever possible. Every step was dangerous, but Rourke knew they were humanity's only hope. Back outside, the relic fleet's unpredictability continued to wreak havoc. Ships move in patterns that confuse the alien AI. Ancient hulls dodged strikes that modern ships would never survive. Every shot from hidden cannons sent alien fighters spinning, their formation collapsing. Suddenly, an alien cruiser broke through protective ring, heading toward Earth orbit. The Titan's Wrath turned to intercept, firing all forward batteries. Energy shells struck the alien ship's engines, sending it tumbling into debris. The alien fleet hesitated, shocked at the humans' fearless counterattack. Rourke's voice echoed across comms. "We may be few, but we are more than machines. We are humans, and humans fight like demons. Outside, the stars burn with fire and energy. Explosions lit the darkness, and the humans' relic fleet moved as one, chaotic, unpredictable, deadly. The Valor Dominion had expected easy victory. Instead, they faced the fury of humanity, a force they had mocked for centuries, now awakened and unstoppable. The alien superweapon loomed ahead, like a dark star. Its hull pulsed with a deadly energy glow, the heart of the Valor Dominion's plan to crush Earth. Captain Elias Rourke stood on the bridge of the Titan's Wrath, gripping the controls. Every crew member knew what was at stake. One mistake could destroy not just a museum's ships, but the entire planet. "Sir," Lieutenant Mira said, her voice tight with tension, "that weapon is bigger than any structure we've ever faced. If it fires, Earth will be annihilated." Rourke nodded grimly. "Which is why we're not letting it fire. Full stealth approach. Boarding team ready. We go inside and disable the core." A small squad of humans, including Rourke himself, prepared to leave the safety of the relic fleet. They moved into shuttle pods, old but reinforced with decades-old experimental shields. Every pod glinted with blue energy as it detached from the Titan's Wrath and sped toward the alien superweapon. The Valor Dominion ships noticed the pods immediately. Laser beams sliced through the void, tracking their movement. But the humans had a plan. They used the old relic ships as a distraction. The fleet twisted, spun, and fired in unpredictable patterns. The aliens were confused and disoriented, unsure which threat to target first. "Now go!" Rourke shouted. The pods darted between energy beams, weaving through fire like ghosts. The boarding team reached the alien hull with magnetic clamps, sticking to the surface as enemy fighters tried to shake them off. Inside the alien superweapon, corridors were cold, dark, and unfamiliar. The humans moved cautiously, weapons raised. Every turn revealed alien guards, advanced technology, and the deadly hum of the core preparing to fire. "Remember," Rourke whispered to his team, "one wrong move and this place blows. Stick to the plan. Quick, precise, and silent." The team moved like shadows, disabling cameras, taking down guards quietly and planting EMP charges at key points. The alien AI inside the superweapon tried to adapt, but humans were unpredictable. Every decision, every movement was calculated yet creative, something machines could not anticipate. Meanwhile, outside, the relic fleet continued to fight like demons. Energy beams tore through alien cruisers. Hidden missile bays launched volleys that struck from unexpected angles. The Valor Dominion formations crumbled under the humans' chaotic but precise attacks. Captain Rourke monitored the shields of his own pod. "We need to hold them off long enough," he muttered. "Every second counts." Inside the superweapon, the boarding team reached the core chamber. A massive energy orb rotated slowly, pulsing with raw power. Surrounding it were conduits, control panels, and alien soldiers guarding it. "Take them out," Rourke ordered. The team moved like a storm, firing, dodging, and using the tight corridors to their advantage. Alien soldiers fell under human skill and ingenuity, their numbers irrelevant in confined space. Rourke approached the main console, controlling the core. His hands moved over the alien panels, decoding the system with knowledge from old schematics he had memorized decades ago. "EMP charges are in place," he said. "We just need a trigger." Suddenly, alarms blared. A wave of alien reinforcements poured into the chamber. Rourke's squad fought with every ounce of strength. They pushed forward, cornered, and precise. The core glowed brighter with each second, the countdown of firing almost complete. "Now!" Rourke shouted. He activated the EMP. A pulse of energy shot through the superweapon, freezing the core in its tracks. Lights flickered, alarms cut out, and the massive structure shuddered violently. Outside, the relic fleet watched as the superweapon faltered. The alien ships panicked, trying to stabilize their flagship. But the human strategy worked perfectly. The chaos of the relic ships, combined with the boarding team's EMP, had neutralized the biggest threat in seconds. "Core disabled," Lieutenant Mira confirmed. "All systems offline." Rourke allowed himself a small smile. "Good work, everyone. The last charge is complete." Earth is safer now. The aliens retreated in disarray. Their command structures were broken, their fleet scattered. The Valor Dominion had underestimated humanity. They had mocked the museum ships, thinking them useless. They had been wrong. The relic fleet moved back into formation, battered but victorious. Sparks flew from damaged hulls, but the humans had proven their point. Old ships, piloted by determined humans, had defeated a technologically superior enemy through courage, creativity, and unpredictability. Rourke looked out at the stars. They laughed at us, but history fights with us, and it never loses. The boarding team returned to the Titan's Wrath, exhausted but triumphant. The silence of space seemed peaceful after the storm of battle. Below on Earth, civilians looked up at the night sky, seeing the relic ships return, glowing with power. Children pointed, whispering in awe. They saved us, the old ships, they saved us. Rourke allowed himself a rare moment of satisfaction. The last charge had worked. The relics had fulfilled their purpose. And humanity had shown the galaxy that courage, ingenuity, and history itself could be more powerful than any weapon. The alien fleet was in retreat. Sparks from destroyed ships drifted through the void like fireflies. Silence followed the chaos, broken only by the hum of the relic ship's engines. Captain Elias Rourke stood on the bridge of the Titan's Wrath. Watching the stars had just been scorched by battle. Earth was safe. For now. Lieutenant Mira broke the silence. Captain, they're gone. The fleet is retreating. Rourke exhaled slowly. For now, he repeated, but we cannot forget. The galaxy will remember this night, and so will humanity. On Earth, the people looked up in awe. Bright lights traced arcs across the sky as the relic ships returned to orbit. Children cheered. Adults hugged one another, some weeping with relief. The museum ships, once considered obsolete relics, had defended the planet against an enemy who thought them weak. In schools and homes, people whispered stories of courage and history coming alive. Our history fights with us, one child said to another, pointing at the glowing ships above. Inside the Titan's Wrath, Rourke walked along the bridge. He watched his crew, veteran cadets, and engineers, tired but proud. The young cadets had faced their first real battle and survived. The veterans had led with skill and wisdom. Together, they had proven what humanity could do when courage and history combine. Captain, Lieutenant Mira said, her voice soft, the museum ships, they've saved Earth. All of them. Rourke nodded. They have, and they remind us that nothing is truly lost. History, courage, and ingenuity, they never die, and neither does humanity's will to fight. In the museum halls, now safe again, the relic ships powered down slowly. Lights dimmed. Engines went silent. The battle-scarred hulls stood like silent guardians, monuments to human perseverance. Rourke walked among them. He ran his hand along the hull of the Titan's Wrath, feeling every dent and scratch. You've done well, he whispered. You've reminded the galaxy that humans are never weak, no matter how small or old we appear. Elsewhere, engineers documented every detail of the battle. They recorded the bravery of the crew, the hidden power of the relics, and the unexpected strategies that had led to victory. This knowledge will be passed down for generations, a living history of humanity's strength. Commander Sylor, aboard his damaged flagship far from Earth, watched the humans retreat and realized the truth. He had underestimated them. He had mocked their history, their technology, and their courage. And now, he knew the galaxy would never look at humans the same way again. They fight like nothing I've ever seen, he muttered. They are dangerous, terribly dangerous. The alien fleet limped away, beaten but alive. But the memory of Earth's courage would follow them across the stars. Back on Earth, Rourke returned to the museum. Tourists had already begun arriving, curious about the glowing relics that had just fought a war. Children ran through the halls, pointing at the old ships and whispering stories of courage. Adults stood silently, eyes wide with respect and awe. Rourke smiled, looking at the Titan's Wrath one last time. They mocked us, he said softly. They thought we were weak. But they forgot history fights with us, and it always will. The museum, once a place of memory, had become a symbol of humanity's living power. The relic ships, now revered, stood ready for the future. A new generation would learn that courage, ingenuity, and history itself are weapons no enemy can defeat. The sun rose over Earth, painting the horizon in gold. Space above glimmered with the scattered lights of the relic fleet returning to orbit. Humans looked up and felt pride swell in their hearts. They had survived. They had won. They had proven that even the oldest relics could become the deadliest weapons when guided by courage, knowledge, and determination. And in the quiet halls of the museum, the ships waited, patient, silent, but alive, always ready. Rourke stood among them, his hand resting on a battle-scarred hull. Children gathered around him, wide-eyed. He smiled. "Never forget," he said. "These ships, these stories, they saved us. And someday they might save the galaxy." The stars above Earth seemed to shine a little brighter that morning. Humanity had fought back. Humanity had won. And humanity's legacy was written in fire. The battle was over. The Valor Dominion fleet had retreated, limping through the darkness of space. Earth was safe. The relic ships had proven themselves once again. But for Captain Elias Rourke, the end of the fight was only the beginning. He walked slowly through the museum halls. The lights were dim now, the hum of the ships quiet but still alive beneath the surface. Tourists and civilians had returned, some cautious, some awed, all whispering about the courage and power they had witnessed. Children ran past him, pointing at the battle-scarred hulls. "Did they really fight?" one asked. "They did," Rourke said softly, smiling. "And one day you'll tell the story too, so that everyone remembers. Human history is not just about the past. It's alive and it fights with us." Lieutenant Mira joined him, carrying a small hollow pad filled with battle records. "Captain, we've documented everything," she said. "The alien fleet, the strategies, every ship's performance. It's incredible." Rourke nodded. "It is. But what matters most isn't the tech or the numbers. It's the courage, the teamwork, and the willingness to fight when others doubt you. That's what makes humans dangerous." They walked past the Titan's Wrath, its hull bearing the scars of the battle. The engines were cooling down, but its glow hinted that it would always be ready if needed again. In the skies above, satellites captured images of the battle remnants. Earth's people watched in awe as the old ships returned to orbit. News channels broadcast stories of bravery and ingenuity, of how relics once considered useless had saved the planet. Across the globe, children drew pictures of the museum ships. Adults told stories of the battle, repeating Rourke's words, "History fights with us." Even the scientists who had worked on Project Legacy, long forgotten by the public, were quietly celebrated. Their secret work, once dismissed as paranoia, had become the key to humanity's survival. Rourke stood in the observation hall, looking at the stars. He knew this victory, though immense, would not be the last. The galaxy was vast, and danger always lingered. But humanity had learned an important lesson. Strength is not always in size or speed. It is in courage, creativity, and the will to survive. He turned to Mira. "We've shown them that humans are not to be underestimated. But we must be ready. One victory does not make peace." Mira nodded. "And the museum ships?" "They will remain here," Rourke said, "visible to all, always ready. A reminder to humanity, and a warning to anyone who dares attack us." In a distant star system, scattered Valor Dominion scouts transmitted reports of the battle. Commander Silor's pride had been wounded, and fear began to take root. The humans had fought with something the aliens could not understand, determination rooted in history. "They will not be easy to conquer next time," one scout said. Silor's eyes darkened. "Prepare our fleets. Humanity will regret this. But next time we will not fail." Even in retreat, the aliens knew that humanity had awakened. Back on Earth, Rourke returned to the museum one last time that day. Children gathered around the relic ships, asking questions. Veterans shared stories of the battle. The air was filled with excitement, respect, and hope. Rourke smiled as he watched the future generation marvel at the ships. "Remember this," he said aloud. "These ships are history, our courage. They are more than metal. They are alive. They protect us, teach us, and guide us. Never forget that." As night fell, the stars shone brighter than before. The relic ships waited silently in orbit, patient and vigilant. Humanity had proven itself. The galaxy had seen its power. And the legacy of courage, ingenuity, and history had just begun. Somewhere in the dark reaches of space, other civilizations took note. A new respect and fear of humanity was born. And Captain Rourke knew this was only the start of a much larger story.